What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Flex podcast from the Action Network and Fantasy Labs. I'm your host, Chris Raybon. NFL Week 5 is here. We got our player projections episode. I'm joined by one of the most accurate rankers in the game, the odds maker, Sean Koerner. Sean, how's it going?
What's up? Did you just see the breaking news that Dylan Gabriel is now the starting quarterback for the Browns? So the Joe Flacco era, for now, is over.
So I actually did not see that. We just hopped out of a meeting.
It literally just happened a couple minutes ago.
Oh, that reminds me of a couple years ago. That looked to his rookie year, right? Wasn't it when he just took over 1 week for Ryan Fitzpatrick, even though Fitzpatrick wasn't really playing that poorly? Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, the Browns are. I mean, they had like a mandate from the owner, so that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that'll kind of come up at some point, but we'll get into our player projections. We'll start with the Cardio King, but quick reminder: all of our fantasy football content is available right now over at FantasyLabs.com. Fantasy Labs NFL includes in-season rankings, waiver wire tips, and more. We've also added a survivor pool tool to help you make informed picks all season long. Be sure to use code FLEX20 for $20 off at FantasyLabs.com/flex. All right, we'll go skill position by skill position. Top 5 guys we're high and low on. We'll throw out some player props as well. But to start it off, we got to go with our Week 4 Cardio Kings, which are the guys who ran the most routes without a target. Sean, who we got?
Yeah, so as a tie for tight end and wide receiver, the tight end Cardio King was Isaiah Likely. Welcome back. Ran 20 routes without seeing a target. And wide receiver, not too surprising, was Jahan Dotson, who also ran 20 routes and didn't see a target. So they were our Cardio Kings this week with 20 routes.
Any early leans for next week? I'm gonna have to go with probably one of the whoever the Giants' third receiver is, maybe Bo Collins or Hyatt or somebody like that. Yeah, I think those two guys. Yeah.
Hyatt's got to be the favorite. I think he'll run 15 plus routes, so that puts him right into the discussion. Assuming he doesn't get a target. So yeah, I'd say Hyatt is the clear favorite this week.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see. I mean, Jackson Dart, maybe he just looks downfield more and it's completely different. We gotta there is some uncertainty, but yeah, I would definitely, that's the place I would start. All right, let's jump into quarterback week number 5. Sean Koerner, who you got in your top
5? Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, and Jaden Daniels.
Ooh, spicy. I mean, not really spicy. I think maybe mine is spicier. I got Allen, Hurts, Mahomes, Justin Fields, and Drake May. So a couple of relative newcomers. But who you high on?
Yeah, Fields is by QB7. I don't think that's too crazy. Love it.
Who you high on?
I'm high on Matthew Stafford, who I also talked about as my top streamer of the week and potentially a long-term, low-end QB1 type option. But the back concerns really haven't been a problem so far. So, we'll have to keep monitoring that. But he's looked great so far this year. And Puka Nacua is just an absolute beast. And I think having him, going off and then having Devontae there just helps open up this passing game, especially in the red zone where Stafford already has 8 touchdowns through 4 games. So I think that's really good news for his fantasy outlook, short-term and long-term, just having those 2 receivers he could lean on in the red zone. And this week, the short week, they face the Niners at home, and they have the 3rd highest team total. So he's popping in my model where he should still throw for 240, 250 yards on average, and more likely to throw 2 touchdowns this week and going forward. So I like Stafford this week. He's my QB9.
Yeah, Matty Stafford looking good here for the Rams. I'm high on Justin Fields. We talked about it just now. He's in my top 5 against the Cowboys, who are allowing the most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. They have given up a couple touchdowns on the ground to Hurts in week 1, 3 touchdowns through the air, and 450 yards to Russell Wilson in week 2. Caleb Williams put up 298 passing yards, 4 tutties in week 3, and then Jordan Love 337 and 3 more touchdowns in week 4. So overall, the Cowboys have allowed 10 passing touchdowns, just 1 interception, and a couple scores on the ground as well. So allowing on average 3 touchdowns per week to quarterbacks. So good spot for Fields, I think, in this one. Who are you low on at quarterback for week 5, Sean?
Yeah, no one really sticks out as like a really low QB, but I'm going to go with Bo Nix here because I have him all the way down to QB 17, and he was drafted QB 8 in ADP, and there's 4 teams on bye. Lamar's out, so being all the way down to QB 17 isn't what you expected when you drafted him. And he's coming off a really good game, threw for 326 yards, 2 touchdowns last night, also ran one in. That's really his upside. And that was a game against the Bengals, who, they look like a team whose season's rolling down the drain, very low effort game. But he has a much, much tougher matchup this week against the Eagles. Last week, Baker Mayfield was actually the first quarterback to throw for over 200 yards against them. They held Dak, Mahomes, and Stafford all below 200 yards. So this is definitely a tougher matchup on paper. So yeah, he's all the way down to QB 17. I mean, you're probably still starting him in 2 QB super flex leagues, but in single quarterback leagues, I might opt for someone like a Matt Stafford if they're available, or someone else. But yeah, I'm a little bit lower on Bo Nix this week at QB 17.
Yeah, Eagles defense. I mean, the Eagles defense is like, is it just their special teams at this point? I don't know. Like, I feel like they shouldn't be as good, and somehow they're still hanging in there. But yeah, Nix is kind of on shaky ground this week. I agree. Another guy for me, Brock Purdy. I'll mention just because there aren't too many guys that you're looking up and down the list at quarterback, and you're like, all right, I'm way down on this guy compared to consensus. But Purdy, wanted to talk about him because he does start Thursday if he were to go, but status looks up in the air. Had a toe injury setback, being called questionable, but I would look other places. I don't think you want to commit to him, even if he's in the lineup. I think he could have a setback. They're 6.5 point road underdog, so it's kind of the line is kind of saying that he's not playing, right? I mean, I don't think the Rams will by 6.5.
I don't think Mac Jones is that big of a drop off, but the problem is Ricky Pearsall's looking like he's doubtful, and Juwan Jennings hasn't practiced. I'm surprised Jennings came back in the game. He looked to be in serious pain. He's dealing with like 4 or 5 different injuries, it seems like. So it seems like the short week, they just might punt it and just rest everybody, get him healthy, because this is insane. With Kittle on IR still, and Ayuk doesn't look like he's returning anytime soon. So they just got to get healthy. It could just be the Christian McCaffrey show. So yeah, I'm low on Purdy as well, and he himself looks iffy. So this is just a situation to avoid, at least until we learn more before Thursday.
Yeah, like I would just kind of plan to start somebody else because he's kind of on the fringe anyway. I think he's the QB 14 in consensus, so he's not even a top 12 option. I think you just look elsewhere this week at quarterback. It's your prop this week at quarterback?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And I'm gonna have to go with our guy, Jackson Dart. I had mentioned his rushing upside. I'm kicking myself for just not taking the over 32.5 rushing yards. That was easy money. He hit on the touchdown show pick, but the rushing upside is clear. And I think with Neighbors out, they might use it even more, tap into that even more. So let's try to set his rushing prop if possible. I'm just doing like back of the napkin math here. I'm going to set it at 43.5.
Ooh, that's high. Let's see. That sounds high for a quarterback, but you're right. We don't.
I'm not sure what I want you to take here either. I definitely want to set it high, but not sure which side I want you to take.
He did have, it looks like 6 design runs, and then one of them and a fumble, and then 3 scrambles. Ooh, I don't know if he's gonna have 6 design runs every week, but he probably 3 scrambles and how many dropbacks? Let's see. He had 3 scrambles and 28 dropbacks. He missed a couple, but he is on the injury. I'm gonna go under. He's on the injury report. The design runs, we only have a 1-game sample size, and the scramble rate even is a little high for what I had. Just is like kind of my prior. So yeah, I do think he'll be a consistent threat running the ball, but this is one of those weeks where, the Saints, they might just let him, hit receivers even without Neighbors. So
Mhm.
yeah. I don't like it, but that's I think that's kind of his high end, at least for now. Because like you get any higher, you're talking about like what Lamar type levels. So yeah, I'm gonna go under.
I think he's got it. He's like rookie Josh Allen for me is how I'm projecting him. And he just lost Neighbor, so I think they will tap in that. But yeah, he is on the injury report, the hamstring injury, so
Yeah, that's slowing me
slight
down.
concern. But that's why I'm not setting it over 50. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Josh he's in usually the 30s nowadays, right? He kind of calmed down, but yeah, his
Yeah,
rookie, back
yeah
in the day,
back to back games over like 100. I had 3 games in. Oh my god, he had 4 out of 6 games like over 100 rushing yards his rookie season.
Jeez, yeah.
Couldn't
Dart
throw the
has that
ball,
upside.
but
Yeah, that's the thing. Dart can actually throw it a little bit, but it just feels a little high for so soon. But
yeah.
I agree. I think that's his asset, and especially with Neighbors out, that's going to have to be a big part of his
Yep.
game. All right, running back top 5, week 5, Koerner, what you got?
All right, so I got Jonathan Taylor, number 1.
Yep.
Easily. And then Christian McCaffrey, who might overtake him. We'll see. And then I got James Cook, Devon Achane, and Jahmyr Gibbs, with Derrick Henry not too far behind.
Who? Derrick Henry. Who's that guy? I haven't heard from him in a while.
They're going to need him this week.
I got Taylor number 1, McCaffrey, Gibbs, Devon Achane, and Saquon Barkley as the top 5. So who am I missing that you had? Oh, Cook. Oh yeah, Cook is right there. He's always I always feel like he's ready to have one of those like 15 carry, no touchdown games, but he scored in like 8 straight, I think.
Same. Yeah, no. Yeah. I've given up on that. I just manually boost up his touch. Like, who was it? There was a guy, we just had to like always manually boost their like rushing touchdown.
Was it Jamal Williams that year? Or is it Gus Edwards?
I'm trying. Don't remember, but there's been some guys where it's just like no matter what, you just have to force the issue. Even with Josh Allen, also you just have to force the issue with rushing touchdowns. It's just like he's reached that point by now.
Who are you high on at running back?
Well, just real quick, one guy that I'm high on that just missed my top 5. I'm sure he's in your top 10 as well as Orman Hampton. Just massive workload last week. The needle's pointing up on him to be a potential top 5 back. So super high on him, but everybody is at this point. But I'm high on Trey Benson this week against the Titans. He had kind of a disappointing debut as the lead back for the Cardinals after James Conner went down for the season. Only ran for 35 yards, did catch 5 passes for 19 yards. But that was against a really tough Seattle defense. And Arizona was pretty pass heavy from the start, and then they were trailing and remained pass heavy. But the underlying usage was there for Benson in a spot like this at home against the Titans, where they might just lean on him even more. The sky's the limit for him. And he was mixing in on passing down still as well. We were kind of trying to figure out how they would kind of handle the backups. And DeMercado was, the third down 2-minute back. And then, Bam Knight and Michael Carter were active, but Carter only mixed in on like a couple snaps on early down. So this is clearly Trey Benson's backfield. DeMercado is going to give him a breather on, the third down, passing downs, which isn't a big deal at all. It's great that Benson gets a breather on those. So yeah, he's a RB12 for me to open the week. Might end up higher if, like Bucky misses time, things like that. So he could be in my top 10 by the end of the week, but really high on Benson for this matchup. And the other guy is just RJ Harvey. Despite J.K. Dobbins having the first 100-yard rushing game for the Broncos since Sean Payton's been there, Harvey's underlying usage was ticking up as well. He's just, seeing not more snaps, as a pass catcher, but he's seeing more work. His target rate's up. And he saw just 2 fewer carries than Dobbins. He was mixing in around the goal line. So he actually caught a 12-yard pass for a touchdown. But I think in a game like this, where they could be in a trailing game script against the Eagles, and the Eagles just coughed up, Bucky Irving had 5 catches for over 100 yards, and Shad White had 4 catches for 29. Using Harvey in the passing game as sort of an extension of the run game would make sense here. So, he's opening up the week as my RB32, but the needle is pointing up for him to at least be, an RB3 flex value right now. And then still just RB2 upside if Dobbins were ever to miss time. But I was encouraged with Harvey's usage last week and the past couple weeks to move him, inside my top 35 this week, even against the Eagles.
Yeah, I think we talked about it on the touchdown show going in with Irving. Like the Eagles banged up at linebacker. I think Zach Bond missed a few tackles in that game last week. So yeah, they're kind of going through it a little bit. On the second level, which is generally like their strength. So yeah, I think that's a
Dean's probably not back for another few weeks.
Yeah, he's not back. I think Bond and John Campbell both missed time last week in practice. Campbell had a good game, but Bond was a little less reliable than we're used to. So we got to monitor it, but it just doesn't seem like they're full strength there like they were earlier in the year.
Yeah, Nolan Smith's on our Jalen Carter's hurt. He might not play. So yeah, they're more banged up than I thought right now.
Yeah, especially in the second level and then in the middle. Like, yeah, it's a good spot for a running back, I think. I'm high on Cam Scatterbu. Looks like he's going to get another week as that feature back. Tyrone Tracy reportedly to miss about 2 to 4 with that shoulder injury. So we saw Scatterbu, get 20 plus carries. He's getting receiving down work as well. They didn't even bring up a third back, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like I
had Dante Miller projected for 0.2 carries. Same. I had to zero it out. Didn't get the elevation.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, just 2 backs. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and going back to your with Benson, looks like Bam Knight is active just for special teams. He played 8 snaps on special teams, none on offense, and then Carter. Yeah, he only mixed in for 4. So, and Demercado had a lot more snaps than he's going to get most weeks because they were in that 2-minute drill, which they might not be in at all this week against the Titans if they don't get the ball at the end of the first half. So, I like that one. But Scatterbu for me, going to New Orleans again, it's a good spot for the Giants. I don't think it's that crazy to, I know the Saints are slight short favorites, but I think the Giants can easily win this game, and they'll probably have to lean on Scatterbu with Neighbors out. This seems like another one of those games where he could get 20 plus carries. He has been getting goal line work and all that good stuff. And if they don't elevate a third back, I mean, that just I would think they would this week with Neighbors out. Like they just have another skill spot free, but maybe they activate the tight end Fedoni. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Scatterbu for me. He's the ECR RB15. I think he should be a top 12 option right along with Amarian Hampton, who did look really good in that game on the other side. Who are you low on at running back?
Yeah, I'm low on a couple backs that just have brutal matchups this week. And first one's Jordan Mason against the Browns, where, Mason should just continue to see a massive workload. Where most weeks he's going to be a low-end RB1 in my projections. But just based on this matchup, he's all the way down to RB18. Just this Browns run defense has been elite. They're second in DVOA. They do a really good job, hitting backs behind the line of scrimmage. And with, Carson Wentz playing poorly right now, it's probably going to make it easier for them to just stack the box and slow down Mason specifically. So still going to see a ton of work. So he is still, a mid to low end RB2, but all the way down to RB18. It's kind of disappointing that he has kind of this tough schedule when Aaron Jones is out. They have the bye week. So it gives Aaron Jones an extra week to kind of heal up and return from the IR after the 4 games are up. But yeah, this is a brutal matchup for him. So I'm a little bit lower on him. You still have to play him, but, temper expectations a bit. Same goes with Kenneth Walker. He's facing the top run DVOA right now in the Buccaneers. And it's not ideal for him. He's dominating the early down snaps where, Charbonnet is seeing more of the early, the passing down work and goal line work. That's going to be a problem for Walker all year is Charbonnet could be vulturing him quite a bit. I always thought that was the case, but that's been happening. So in a matchup where, he's facing a really good elite run defense, it just lowers my projection for him even more. Having said that, he's still going to see a decent amount of work. So he's still my RB19. But he's another back that just based on the matchup, we have to lower expectations a bit this week.
Yeah, the thing with Walker is he's still one of those backs that is going to get stuffed and hit for a loss more than more than most, and that is dangerous in this matchup because you might not just have so many of those carries otherwise where you're just trying to run into the teeth of that defense anyway. So I think there's a little bit more volatility there, and also Charbonnet was coming off. He didn't play the week before, right. He was out 1 week.
Yeah, he was out. Yeah,
but it was a short week, so he could actually see more of an increased workload this week. So there are a couple things kind of a bit red flaggy with Kenneth Walker, even though he's looked good out there for the most part, but still.
Yeah, he did have that fumble. And then Charbonnet was in, but people just need to realize this is more of a committee than it has been. So Charbonnet has been mixing in more. I don't know if that was due to punishment or just that was the natural flow, but there was a point right after the fumble where Charbs was playing a lot more.
Yeah, Walker's just a volatile back. I think that's what it is. You're just gonna have to kind of get used to that. I'm all on J.K. Dobbins, and again, the matchup isn't that scary, but I do think that there are some red flags. Just given we know Sean Payton's already unpredictable, and they're still using 3 backs, and if you're high on Harvey, I think you have to kind of be a little bit low on Dobbins. And one of the things that was concerning to me is, it was a blowout, but he only outsnapped Harvey by 3. But in the passing game, Harvey 15 routes, 1 pass block. Dobbins 12 routes, 6 pass blocks. So now if they're behind, is Dobbins just seeing more of that pass, kind of picking up blitzers and pass rushers anyway? And then the carries were 17-13. So there's a chance that if this game script goes wrong, Dobbins is just in for all the wrong snaps. Yeah. And Tyra Bade, 7 pass routes, just 1 blocking snap, which you'd expect him to have more just because he's usually in on obvious passing situations, third downs or whatnot. So overall, just not a great situation. I know he did have the 100-yard game, but I think it'll be a hard press to follow that up. All right, running back prop. Let's see. Yeah, let's go. Walker versus Charbonnet, actually, and let's go half PPR points. Okay, I'll make Walker a 2.5 point favorite.
That's pretty good. Let's see.
It's kind of just back of the envelope math. See
where I hate to do it. I'm gonna have to go with Walker here. Sharps is my boy, but yeah, I got it closer to like 3.5.
Okay.
Maybe they just dump it off to Walker a little bit more to get around that tough defense. So I think his receiving upside might be a little bit higher here. But yeah, Charbonnet's there to vulture the short yardage work, touchdowns, and some of the passing work. So yeah, I think it's closer than people think, but I'll still take Walker here.
Yeah, it's interesting just because it's so volatile. Like if he gets a couple of those lost yardage on his runs, does he have enough receiving work to overtake it? Is I guess the question. So yeah it's an interesting one. It's going to be a tough projection, probably all year, to be honest. All right, let's go to wide receiver. Who you got in your top 5 for week 5, Sean?
Pure chaos at wide receiver, just absolute mayhem. But there's no dispute who's number 1. I got Puka Nacua, like 4 points higher than Amon-Ra, he's having an incredible year as well. He's 4 points higher than that. And then Amon-Ra and Jackson Smith-Njigba is like the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other. I think they're the same player at this point. And then I have George Pickens, wide receiver 4, and Xavier Worthy, wide receiver 5. So very spicy top 5 this week.
Oh, wow. Yeah. The funny thing is, I think you sent me a text of at one point, JSN was like he's going to be the cardio king. He wasn't getting he had like a rush attempt, right? But he wasn't getting any targets.
There was 5 minutes left in the third quarter. He had 0 catches, but he had 3 carries for like 12 yards. I tagged Yahoo Fantasy and was begging them to add a running back eligibility to him. And then sure enough, he caught 5 balls in the last 20 minutes of the game. But yeah, there was a brief moment where JSN was going to be the cardio king. What were the odds of that? 500 to 1, right?
Yeah. I think most teams don't really want to run on Tampa Bay too much. So I think he'll probably see a lot more work early in the game. this week. But yeah, I got Nakua, Monrod, JSN number 3, Justin Jefferson, and Garrett Wilson as the wide
love
receiver.
it.
Woo! So yeah, it's spicy any way you look at it. But
yeah. All right, do you have any other interesting guys in your top 10? Because I have like Debo, Ibuka, Tet. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah,
this week.
Ibuka's definitely in there. Pickens might, Pickens probably going to be in there. Debo's like we got to see what's going on in Washington, but yeah, Debo. Yeah, if it's the same situation as last week, receiver wise, Debo's in, or should be in as well. Who are you high on?
I'm high on Chris Godwin against the Seahawks, but I thought he was going to ease in. I don't know what you had him at. I had him like 35, 40% routes run rate last week. Nope, 91% routes run rate. So they just unleashed him. 0 setbacks whatsoever, 0 limitations, I should say. And he saw a 25% target rate. But he only caught 3 balls for 26 yards. He left a lot of meat on the bone. I think he had one of the highest air yards of the week. But once again, Mike Evans is out this week. Bucky Irving looks questionable right now, so who knows if he suits up. So I think Godwin, the underlying usage supports, a 5-catch type game coming up here. So like him a lot this week. He was lining up outside a lot more, so we might see fewer catches, maybe more downfield targets for him. So he could be more volatile than we're used to seeing. I think Ibuka is the man in this offense, obviously. But I think Godwin's sneaky as like a mid-range wide receiver too. I have him as my wide receiver 18 to open the week. And then the other guy I just want to talk about him is Isaiah Bond against the Vikings. But he's the rookie the Browns scooped up. He was expected to be a potential. Some people thought he was like a first round talent.
Yeah, I liked him heading into the draft.
Yeah, like second, third round at worst, but he went undrafted because he was dealing with legal issues that have been fully resolved, I believe. So the Browns scooped him up.
Of course they did.
After the everybody was making fun of him. But things got resolved shortly after they added him, I believe. So now they have this, really good rookie wide receiver who had been seeing an uptick in usage at the expense of Cedric Tillman, I think, the last couple weeks. But now with Tillman out at least this week and potentially beyond, and now they're benching Flacco for Gabriel. I think they're going to really want to evaluate these rookies. So I think Bond's going to see a ton of work this week. He had 3 catches, 58 yards last week. But again, you have a guy that he does have a lot of talent. Just because he went undrafted doesn't mean that he's some scrub. So he's a wide receiver 55 for me this week. So he's not like a wide receiver 3 option, but someone we got to consider in DFS props. And then long-term, season-long formats, who knows? Like he could become a wide receiver 3 type at some point, but he's a guy where the needle is definitely pointing up. And I don't think enough people, are talking about him, but just wanted to give a shout out to, Isaiah Bond. His stock is going way up right now.
Yeah, it sounds like a touchdown bet too. Because
absolutely.
He's I noticed that. Yeah, he was. I would say I think it was week 1. Just he hadn't really had much. He hadn't been in camp much or anything. And he got more usage than I thought, and he was kind of splitting snaps with Jamari Thrash. And then as the year progressed, he started just taking snaps away from Tillman. So yeah, this is the guy that I think they really want to get the ball to. It's kind of like Judkins, where he might have eased in that first week, but it escalated very quickly with him, and I think you're gonna see something similar with Bond now that especially with I'm sure him and Gabriel have more practice time together, right? You would think than
absolutely, and I think he was at it so late. I don't think he even played until like week 4, the last week of the preseason. But he's probably getting a ton of work with Gabriel in the second unit. So yeah, they probably already have a ton of chemistry. So I think going to Gabriel, the overall passing yards and attempts might go down, but for someone like Bond, it might help him out.
So what are your odds now for like a Shedeur Sanders appearance in the next 2 weeks? Is Flacco going to be the number 2 or the 3?
I thought you were going to say David Njoku getting traded away. That's got to go up now.
Right.
That's got to be over 50%. But yeah, I think Gabriel, he was a mixed bag. I think he has pretty limited upside. I think we see Shador at some point. I would think Gabriel gets at least till midway. Like he'll be starting until like week 8 or 9. Then at that point, maybe we see Shador. What do you think? I mean, it's who the hell knows?
I'm kind of, because I didn't see any news, because usually sometimes you get that news with the quarterback who's going to start, and it's like, okay, is Flacco's going to be the emergency guy, or is he going to be the?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I saw anything with that yet. So yeah, I think Shador is still a ways off. I would say in the next 2 weeks, maybe no, but I do think we see him and he makes starts this year, because it sounded like it was a mandate from the Browns owner, and the fact that they're just kind of pivoting here when I don't think it was that. I mean, Flacco did throw that bad interception last week. He just floated it up like a pop up to third base that just got picked off very easily by the Lions. But yeah, I mean, Shador was bad in most of the preseason. So yeah, I think Gabriel will get a shot, but it really depends if he's going to be if Shador's going to be the backup. I think that would be more likely that he gets in the game sooner than later. But if Flacco's still going to be the backup, then yeah, I think Shador is still going to be like he's still the kind of week 10-ish kind of guy.
Yeah, they have a bye week 9, and this is kind of a brutal start to have Gabriel debut right against Flores. I mean, it's gonna be tough for him. So they're putting him in a very bad spot. That
overseas too, right? Overseas.
Yeah. I was gonna say the Vikings are the team that have been there. The Browns just played where we're in Detroit. So they got to travel. It's
from Detroit to overseas. Woo!
To face Flores. Flores is, has all week to scheme up a game plan to attack the Southpaw rookie. Yeah. So
hopefully he doesn't get robbed.
Well,
I mean, I'm saying like a white backup quarterback got robbed in Dublin. No,
oh my God,
Thompson. Keep your head up, Dylan. You didn't hear about that? It was all over the tickers, even like on the games. Like it was like how they have the scores like on the ticker. It was like Skylar Thompson gets robbed, beaten. Like that was just flashing across my screen.
I'm so in the way. Usually I'm the one playing that stuff. I did not know that. That's crazy. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Man. So hopefully, it's a different. This is not Dublin anymore. So I don't know.
Yeah, this is London. Wembley. Yeah, it's London. I don't know which stadium.
London has some hoods, though, man. Like, I think it was Dame Dash told a story about how like they hit like some of his Rockefeller artists went there and they just like took their chains and like started like it's
oh my God,
hoods out there too, man. But hopefully we're good.
Yeah. So he has a new left tackle in Cam Robinson.
Yeah,
but technically Jack Conklin's his blindside blocker at right tackle, and he might not play. So, I mean, they're just putting him in a bad situation. Hopefully Conklin can suit up. But this is a rough debut for a rookie.
Maybe he won't have. Maybe he'll get to skip a few drives if the defense just scores.
Sure. That definitely possible against Carson Wentz or whoever they have.
Yeah.
Under center this week.
I'm high on who we got. Oh yeah, I'll just a couple guys who are kind of benefiting from injuries here. Wan'Dale Robinson and Jalen Waddle. Wan'Dale for the Giants, Jackson Dart, quarterback, but Malik Neighbors unfortunately out. And then Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, same thing, long-term injury. So both of those guys, I think, are going to see an uptick. They've been kind of hit or miss this year and for a while, but I do think they get back to it this week and going forward. I think those two guys are going to see a pretty dramatic uptick. Although with the Dolphins, I got to see what Waller's interesting. We'll see, because Waddle kind of last year you would have expected more, and he was just kind of shaky all year. But I do think that this is. Where are they at? Carolina this week? Yeah, I think this is a good spot for Waddle to kind of bounce back here. Who are you low on besides A.D. Mitchell this week?
Well, That's the thing with Eddie Mitchell. He's gonna bring the excitement,
Yeah.
right? Like if you
believe
laddered
that.
his yards,
Yeah.
which we were on the touchdown show, I had to give it a touchdown pick. I mean, he crushed his ladders.
Yep.
He is the most exciting disaster at wide receiver we've seen in quite some time.
He just gave away.
Pour one out for him. He the blocking. He cost them 2 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
The block, the hold, and the either way. Alec Pierce's job is safe. He'll be back this week, and Mitchell will be back to 10% routes run rate. But always worth a flyer in DFS and all over prop markets whenever Pierce is out. That remains true for sure. But yeah, I'm low on Zay Flowers here against the Texans. Lamar Jackson being out is huge. Cooper Rush is obviously a massive downgrade to the entire offense. I think they're going to try to lean on Derrick Henry as much as possible here. The Texans also have really tough secondary. Flowers might be seeing a decent amount of Stingley here. Flowers, he obviously has the talent to overcome it, but I still rank him, all the way down at wide receiver 28 right now. Just limited touchdown upside. So when he takes a hit in my projected, targets, receptions, yards, that really gives a fatal blow to Flowers' upside this week. So down on him. And then Jordan Addison had a really good debut last week, had 4 catches for 114 yards. One of those should have been a long touchdown. I don't know how he didn't score that, but I think he kind of bailed out his fantasy managers with that long catch. But this passing offense is just overall down this year. So it's going to be tougher for Addison to be consistent with, they still have Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson there. So I consider, Addison more of a wide receiver 4 type option. Another tough matchup here against the Browns. They've been good against the run and pass. So this is a tough spot for Addison to kind of repeat last week. So he's still in the wide receiver 40 range for me this week.
Yeah. This Viking team, it's kind of like week to week. It's just you don't know what to expect anymore. They've become a tougher team than I thought to project.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the O-line injuries don't help. I am low on Keon Coleman. He's the ECR wide receiver 32. That's a little high for me. I know we're starting into bye weeks, but Coleman, remember, he had the 1 touchdown this year, and that was a tip ball. And then, right? Yeah. He had the
it was to Kincaid.
Yeah, and then
right through his hands.
And then since then, hasn't done anything. He 3 catches for 26, 3 for 20, and 3 for 45. So going up against New England, I think that he'll have the toughest matchup out of the receiver group. Khalil Shakir looked really good on that. Did you see that play where he scored?
Oh, yeah.
That was like one of those Madden broken tackles where it's like not supposed to be a broken tackle at all, but the game just decided that nobody was going to bring him down on that play. It's just like, all right, and he's out and down the sideline. But yeah, I just think this Bills offense is going to be tough to project outside of James Cook most weeks. Kincaid is trending up as well. So yeah, Coleman inside the top 36. That's a little rich for me. So that's a guy I am down on. All right, wide receiver prop. Where you going?
Puka Nacua, total receptions over under 8.5.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, that sounds about 5.
Sounds low.
Yeah, right. Oof. He does this though. What is he? 10, 8, 11, and 13. Oh my God. And this is a Thursday night game, so it could be a little sloppy. Let's see has he always done this? I feel like because he's averaged like almost 6 for 90 for his career coming in, but 8.5. I still got to go under. That's just a ridiculous number. I mean, he's probably gonna go over, but just like from a median standpoint, I still gotta work at some league average. It just can't be all Puka average after 4 games. So yeah, I gotta go under. I hate this. Ugh.
Yeah, it's I haven't even looked at his prop. I would imagine it's either 7.5 juiced way up to the over, or 8.5, under -130, something like that. But the one problem is, if Purdy's out, Jennings, Pearsall are both out, the Rams might not have to throw much. So it kind of depends on which Niners offensive players suit up to kind of force the issue with them. But man, it's hard to project them anything under 8 right now.
Yeah, his prop is at most spots it is 7.5. Yeah, about -160 to the over. It looks like that's pretty much where it is across the board. And then it's maybe like one or two books where it's up to 8.5. So yeah, it's a good line. I don't, especially because it's a Island primetime first game of the week type thing. I wouldn't be surprised if it closes at 8.5. It's going to be like 99.9% of money on the over. Is that are we getting? I feel like we're trending toward one of those. Yeah, right.
Absolutely. Who in their right mind could bet on the under? Maybe me. But that it is not for the faint of heart. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just think of it this way: if he gets like a 70-yard catch and run, that decreases the chances of him.
Exactly.
We're essentially saying he's catching a ball on every drive, almost. Like that's essentially what you're saying. If you're giving him like a 8.5 line, like that is
exactly. Hey, he could even get a carry and take it to the house like he did in week 1.
Yeah.
That'd be even better. That wouldn't be a catch. It would make it even more of a run heavy game script. He has that upside as well.
Wait, speaking of which, before we move on, what did I tell you about Tutu Atwell, man?
Oh yeah, the last I was sitting pretty with that. I should have taken under. I should have taken under 1.5 receptions at -130. One of the many sides I was kind of right on, but missed. Did you see that they had 10 players? The Colts had 10 players on the field on that.
Oh no, I didn't even realize that. Oh man, that's even crazier. I just knew it was coming.
Lou was like, "That's my bad. We only had 10 players." It's like, can I have one fucking prop that doesn't end with some catastrophe like that? But they had 10 players, so that's why it was wide open. But Tutu, I'm only fading his receptions from now on, not receiving yards. I knew that was I even wrote that up. I said he's going to have the random big catch. But that was their last offensive play of the game.
Now he won't, and now he won't score for the rest of the year. It'll be Jordan Whittington. Every time. Every time.
Next week 0 catches, 0 yards.
Yep.
So book it.
Because they had to get him that. They had to get him that. It's the coordinator. Once the coordinator says it, it's like it's gonna happen. But that's unfortunate. That is just a bad beat. I mean, the Rams are just the kings. One side or the other, they're just the kings of bad beats this year.
I'm gonna find a witch doctor. I'm gonna figure out what the hell happened. Ever since the last play of the Super Bowl, where I lost Mahomes a half a yard on the worthy. I'm like literally anything other than a touchdown pass right here. I hit the Mahomes under. I think I had a profitable Super Bowl. It was just like the one where I only lost like T. Higgins winning MVP. And
I thought that's what you were talking about. Yeah, we had T. Higgins. That just crashed and burned with Samaje Perine somehow.
No, this was I had Mahomes under 250.5 yards, and he had 199, and he threw the 50-yard touchdown to Worthy at the end of the game.
Yeah, I bring Samaje Perine. He was on that roster.
He's
on that roster.
He's the key. Yeah.
All right. Tight end, top 5, week 5. We
got Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Jake Ferguson, Tyler Warren with his rushing touchdown, and Sam Laporta.
McBride, Bowers, Ferguson, Warren, and Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry's out here. I mean, he's either touchdowns or volume, and I still have questions about that Bills safety linebacker core. So yeah, I'm gonna stick. I'll probably stick with Henry. Maybe we'll see if Laporta's like a couple of spots. He's like in like my tight end 8 right now. It's been a little tough to project, but who are you high on?
I'm high on the rookie Rondé Gadsden of the Chargers. I thought the Chargers were going to land Colson Loveland. That would have been fun. But they got Gadsden in like the 5th round, I think. Mm-hmm. But he kind of reminded me of Darren Waller, who's also a late round tight end, just a really excellent pass catching tight end. And he finally got his first shot last week with Will Disley out. And Disley was out again this week. So Gadsden's role grew even more. He had a 50% routes run rate. He's pretty much the clear pass catching tight end now over Tyler Conklin. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if and when Disley does return. But I think Gadsden's kind of their long-term pass catching tight end at this point. So yeah, the problem with him is they already have 3 wide receivers that command such a high target share with Ladd, Keenan, Quentin. But he's a guy, if one of those guys goes down, he might be able to produce, low end tight end 1 value. So he's a guy that's on my radar for sure. He should be on everyone's radar for season long. But, for DFS props, he's in play, right now. So he's my tight end 19 against the Commanders. But the needle's pointing up on him. And, by the end of the season, he could see, enough snaps, opportunities to be a low end tight end 1. So Gadsden, somebody that should be on everyone's radar right now.
Yeah, I feel like his pops is somebody that you and I and Nick would play that game where we just name like late 90s, early 2000s random NFL player like Rondé Gadsden. I guess senior. I don't even know if it's senior or what, but I think he had his most touchdowns his rookie year. I think he had like 7 and never had as many going forward. But I remember him on the Dolphins. But speaking of the Dolphins, and I think you mentioned Darren Waller. That's who I'm high on. Just kind of coming off that Monday night game. If he's going to catch touchdowns, that kind of opens things up a little bit because that's the one kind of like an Evan Ingram. Like he never really caught touchdowns, so I couldn't be that high on him. But if Waller's going to catch touchdowns, I think the usage, only about a 35% route rate last week. But that first game, on the kind of on the injury report for the entire year leading up to it. So I think this week, another kind of getting through a game. As long as we don't see him pop up and miss a ton of practice time or anything like that. I think he's in line for a lot more usage with Tyreek Hill out. And we saw this with Jonnu Smith, another veteran who kind of started a little slow. And by the end of the year, he was just a monster. And Waller, I mean, the usage is starting a little slow in terms of the route rate, but the production is already there. So I kind of want to see where this goes because I was kind of a head scratcher when they signed him. I mean, it just didn't seem like a culture fit at all, but lo and behold, he's catching multi-touchdown game in his Dolphin debut. So we'll see how that goes. But definitely a guy that I think is trending upward. Who are you low on at tight end?
I'm low on Dalton Kincaid, just because this continues to be like a 3-way committee at tight end with Jackson Haas mixing in quite a bit. So, Kincaid continues to be limited around a 60% routes run rate. His target rate took a bit of a hit this week. It's down to 21% on the season, which just isn't high enough with that kind of usage. But he was able to bail managers out with, the 28-yard touchdown catch. That was his only catch of the day. So very close to a goose egg. But just the fact that the Bills have such an easy schedule, they're going to win so many games this year. That just lowers Kincaid's weekly upside. Maybe the Patriots will keep it competitive enough this week. But I still have Kincaid all the way down to tight end 12. I think his ECR was like tight end 6 last I checked. Yep. Right? That's got to be too high. I think that's just people, early Tuesday projections. But I think that's too high. I think he's still a low end tight end too because, this is the Bills offense. They're going to be putting up points. But he's really becoming a touchdown dependent tight end, which is what you don't want. So yeah, he's down to tight end 12, and he's going to be pretty streaky throughout the season.
Yeah, he's like turning into Kyle Pitts, except he's scoring touchdowns. But he's like becoming more and more of just like frustrating guy. But the thing was, Josh said at the beginning of the year, he's like, I missed him on a bunch of touchdowns last year, so it's like now getting touchdowns or not getting much else, which is kind of frustrating after the way his career started and with the targets that are seemingly up for grabs in Buffalo. I am low on Mark Andrews. So, it was a good run, but now we got Cooper Rush under center facing the Texans. I don't like any part of this. He's the ECR tight end 10. I don't think he's a top 12 option this week because it's not every week Isaiah Likely's even going to go cardio king on us. I hope. So yeah,
that was weird.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he wasn't fully ready. I don't know. It was an important game. Maybe I don't know if the Ravens thought they would be. Imagine like what was it? maybe like midway through the third quarter of week 1, did you ever think the Ravens would be sitting here at 1-3? Like,
No, and
yeah,
I mean they could be 1-4 if
yeah,
I mean they're still 3-point favorites here, but wouldn't be
No,
crazy
they're
to see them
underdogs.
lose this
They're
week.
underdogs. They're underdogs.
Oh,
I'm
they're
sure.
underdogs now?
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think the Texans are about 2.5 points.
Oh yeah, now they're. I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I had already penciled Lamar out. I was shocked to see that. Yeah, 2.5 point dogs. So yeah, 1-3, 1-4. Looking like who they played next.
Yeah, I mean, no, they'll probably.
I mean, Lamar might be out a while.
Have you seen the Texans? Like they?
Yes, I have.
They haven't like done anything against the non-worst team in the league, really. So I mean,
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if Baltimore wins, but I still want no part. I don't know how to project, like especially with Likely back and Rush. Like I still don't know why Baltimore didn't. I think they have Huntley somewhere. Did they resign? Like I don't know why they didn't get a running quarterback. They usually get a running quarterback.
I don't understand that at all. Huntley's bouncing around somewhere. I think the last team he was with was the Browns, right? But he's out there somewhere. They got to bring him in because, going from Lamar to Cooper Rush doesn't make sense. That's been the thing with Huntley is they can kind of keep the same offense going. He's there.
But this He's there.
He is there? Okay.
He's on the practice squad. I thought I remember that as like in the middle of that hectic part of the year where you kind of update season-long projections.
Oh, yeah. Did they announce Rush as the starting quarterback, or is there still a chance that Huntley could be?
Yeah, I don't think they announced anything. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but Huntley, he has kind of been trending down career-wise. And he had that terrible stretch. What was it with the Dolphins last year? So I can't call it, but it is kind of a head scratcher, like pretty jarring to go from Lamar to Rush because they've always kind of had a more mobile backup. So we'll see how that goes. But either way, it's no good for Mark Andrews. Whether it's Cooper Rush is probably better for Mark Andrews, I would say, right? I mean, that's just less scrambles.
Well, more pass attempts, but still less touchdown upside. I think anytime we bring up Mark Andrews in our low on segment, he averages 1.5 touchdowns. But I think this week it's a little bit different because it is, in theory, Cooper Rush under center. But it sounds like Lamar could miss more than this week, right? And they face the Rams next week, and then they have the bye. So maybe they kind of want to get to the bye, but they might be 1-5, right? Oh my God,
done and done.
So that's brutal.
Better shot at making the playoffs right now, Ravens or Bengals?
I would still go Ravens. Oh
man, it's ugly. It is ugly.
Yep.
Let's go the prop for tight end. Gotta go with Darren Waller here.
Love it.
Yeah, let's go with his receiving yardage because this is hard because I feel like he's gonna play more than 35%, but how much more? And we haven't even got an injury report, so we know that he's due for at least like a Wednesday appearance on the injury report. So, let's go 30.5 yards.
That's literally what I was thinking.
Nice.
Because I have it 33, and I have his routes run rate around 55%.
That's what I had.
That was the plan.
Yeah,
that was the plan, just to have certain plays for him, and he got targeted on 40% of his routes. So that's going to go down. The routes will go up. I think it does settle around 30.5. I think and Tyreek's out. I think they'll be able to lean on the run against the Panthers. Wow, the Dolphins versus Panthers. That's going to be something. I'm gonna go under here, but I'm right in line with you. Just I think they'll get like Washington more involved, Westbrook Akine a little bit more involved in the game plan this week. I think that was kind of the plan, was to kind of scheme up those plays for Waller. So I'll lean under. But I think it's a great line.
Yeah, because I think Connor was around like 58%, as the lead tight end. There was no third guy active, and then Hill would be, about half that. So I do wonder if, maybe Waller this week takes all of those snaps, because it's still not a ton, like, to get to like 60%. So he's a tough projection. So I wanted your thoughts on that one, but we'll see how it goes. That's going to do it for our Week 5 NFL player projections episode here on the Fantasy Flex. Make sure to subscribe to the Fantasy Flex podcast so you don't miss an episode all season long. Don't forget fantasylabs.com and the app for all of our projections and more. You can use code FLEX20 for $20 off an NFL sub. We'll be back with our DFS preview tomorrow and some of our favorite touchdown scorers over on the Action Network podcast later in the week. You can find Sean on X at @the_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon, and we're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Go download it. Until next time, let's get this money.